What's going on, everybody? Dogman Dan here. So we are talking Warframe, Beast of Sanctuary, of course, and finally Hotfix 22.18.8. I'm like a day late on giving you an overview on this, but this is the big change. So we still have enemy scaling issues that we've had for years, and we know that just isn't going to change anytime soon. It's not being addressed in this update with the Onslaught. However, finally with the hotfix, we have seen a whole bunch of changes made to Khora and the Onslaught. So that's kind of what I want to talk about here. So you can understand what's going on with some of these changes. There's a lot of changes. This is the big change. This is the one that really kind of makes some things right that were wrong a week ago when this first released. Doesn't fix everything, but it does a lot of good things. So we're going to start with the Khora changes. Big changes in Khora and how she works. Ability casting times have been shortened across the board. Natural talent is always great, of course. But the base animations needed shortening, so they made it quicker for her, which will be nicer for everybody. A new passive, which is the Cavat, the Venari, fights by Khora's side and provides her with the speed boost while active. If killed, Venari will reappear after a short time. We will talk about that. So it is still one of the abilities, but it is automatic, and we'll get into that in a second here. But let's just go straight through. So on Whip Claw will apply to and benefit from melee combo counter now, which is nice. All enemies caught in the Strangle Dome will take half of the Whip Claw's attack damage when one enemy in the Strangle Dome is hit with the Whip Claw. Hitting an ensnared enemy with Whip Claw will cause the living metal to propagate. Talking about ensnaring being the number 2 ability. Ensnaring affects multiple enemies. When an enemy is ensnared, the living metal will propagate and pull in every enemy within range for a 75% reduction or reduced duration. The living metal ensnaring enemies will then propagate a second time to pull in another wave of enemies within range. So that becomes a pretty powerful ability. And procs no longer wake up ensnared enemies. However, if you ensnare and then use the Whip Claw, you're going to do some major damage. Okay. Now, ability number 3, the Cavat, which you used to have to activate yourself, is now passive. Okay. The Cavat's still simply there now. The Venari, we'll call it. No casting required. If Venari dies, she will respawn in 45 seconds, or you can summon her back by using the Venari ability for an energy cost of 50. Now that energy cost of 50 is going to scale with a respawn timer. So the more times you do it, the more it's going to scale, the more energy it's going to take, so forth and so on. New ability description here. Okay, so command Venari to focus on target, hold between attack, protect, and heal postures, like we had before. Again, if Venari is killed, you can use your ability to revive her instantly. Okay, so Venari fights independently until she receives a command. Khora's third ability overrides Venari's target, as indicated by the icon that'll be over Khora's head. Okay. Companion mods like Animal Instinct have now been fixed, and they will work properly on Venari, where they weren't before. Venari deals slash damage to enemies instead of impact damage. Keep that in mind, that's always a good thing, especially with some of our mods. And ability strength mods on Khora now affect Venari's abilities. So that makes that Cavat even better. And then we got Strangle Dome changes here, where they changed the casting animation to better reflect that the Strangle Dome is cast from Khora's body placement, and change now reflect custom accent color. So whatever your custom accent color is what the chains will now look like. Once an enemy dies in the Strangle Dome, they will drop to the floor, making room for new victims, unlike them all just being stuck up there. And those are some of those changes that are on Khora, and I think those are going to be great changes overall. There's probably still a couple things to change on it, but I think that's definitely the step in the correct direction with this, which is something we should have seen really in the beginning when it released, but I'm happy to see those changes, as always. A little bit slower, but I'm happy to see those changes. Now, let's get into the Sanctuary Onslaught. And we know there's been a lot of back and forth this week on Sanctuary Onslaught, up, down, all around. Changes here, changes there, efficiency issues, changing enemy difficulties, back and forth. So now things are mostly reverted back to the original. A whole bunch of changes. Again, kind of they take this as a bite-sized experience, combining efficiency changes below that we're going to talk about here on how far you can last. Now, they removed the increased efficiency drain when you hit Zone 20 in Sanctuary Onslaught, and from the Elite Sanctuary Onslaught when you hit Zone 14. Okay, efficiency drain will hit its max rate in Zone 16 on the regular mode, and in Zone 15 in Elite Sanctuary. Okay, so differences there. They added more tiers of increasing high-level enemy difficulty in both Onslaught modes. So in the regular Sanctuary Onslaught, once you reach Zone 15, enemies are going to be between level 80 to 100. Once you reach Zone 20, enemies will be level 110 through 130. And once you reach Zone 25, enemies would be level 130 to 150, and that's just regular Onslaught. So that does definitely make the mode a lot more difficult for general players as well, if they go that far. Elite mode is going to change your zoning. Okay, so at Zone 20, your enemy level is going to be between 200 and 220. And then at Zone 25, it's going to be that high level of 250 to 280. So just keep that in mind. So slight changes. And they're kind of still talking about, you being able to make it to at least Zone 8, which is your C rotation. Really wish they would change those rotations up a little bit. The AA, B, C things just doesn't really work in this mode. But we'll see down the road. Now, they also removed unnecessary ice environment textures from the Grineer Shipyard. They removed an Orc and Derelict tile from Onslaught that they found was too small. And this means that Zone 12 of the Elite Onslaught will now have a new tile set in it. And they removed an infested Corpus Onslaught tile that was deemed unsuitable for the simulation. I can concur with that. Some more Onslaught fixes, though. Okay, so they said they fixed the clients being perpetually stuck on a loading screen after host migration. We'll see how that goes. I haven't had that issue yet, so I really can't confirm whether it's fixed or not. Fixed cases of conduits not materializing after host migration, and fixed cases of clients being trapped in an old zone after the host transitions through the conduit first and disconnects on the other side. So a lot of host migration issues, which was the biggest problem going since the release, is host migration, host transitions. And I mean, that still plays an important issue inside the regular game, but in this particular mode, it's even that much more of an issue. They fixed efficiency continuing to drain while everyone's standing around, waiting for the next conduit to appear. So once all players see it, the countdown resumes. Okay. And they fixed the specimens beating the crap out of helpless players who are trapped in a loading screen when that host migration occurs. So specimens will now be paused while you are in the loading screen. That's a nice thing. Okay. A change here in the daily focus limit that has been increased based on the formula, which we knew about the other day, which was 250,000, plus an extra 5,000 per mastery rank. And the peculiar bloom will now spawn a max of 5 flowers per target. Flowers so beautiful that they hurt your performance. So I still don't have that mod yet. I'd like to just get my hands on it, but I don't have it yet. We'll see. I haven't had too much success inside of the Elite Onslaught mode where we actually get to Zone 8, especially in randoms. I mean, I guess if I get in there with the clan and or some some of you guys, then we can probably roll that through pretty quickly. But yeah. Anyway, and they fix some related crashes to voice recycling, and fixed a Loki prime glyph description being unlocalized, but nothing really that particularly pays to the core changes and the Sanctuary Onslaught changes. So I'm happy to report there are a couple of nice things in here. They have taken some time to do some of these changes. Hoping we'll see some more changes, more positive changes in this respect. And I'm still not 100% sure on the time frame for consoles, but I've heard that they're trying to get the certification out pretty quickly already. So stay tuned. Once I know specifically, or once they've announced it, if I got some time, I'll let everybody know. Otherwise, I will catch you soon. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.